Hey, it's Derek Jones. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Rare Paintball Guns, where we talk about some of the rare and not so rare paintball guns that have come from our history. And today I have a really interesting model that I've been trying to get my hands on for a while. This is an AirPower Apex. Now, AirPower was an interesting name in paintball. They started in the mid to late 80s. I don't know too much about the company itself. They were making like expansion chambers and regulators, and they came out with their high-end pump, which was a Nelson-based pump. Later, shortly after this, they actually released another one called the Apex Elite, and these are both Nelson-based markers. The biggest difference between an Apex and an Apex Elite is the rear velocity is adjustable through the ASA. And according to my good friend Dale Price, that it was a real pain in the butt. You actually would have to pull the CO2 tank, make a couple adjustments. However, after you got them tuned in, they were actually really, really well-made markers. They're surprisingly heavy. The trigger, they have an auto trigger, and they're Nelson-based. They do not have a removable barrel. It is a one-piece barrel, and it mics out at 689. Now, this one, I don't even know if it works. It has the AirPower grip frame, so it's all original. I don't know if it was ever bottom lined. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's been heavily used. It has the number A5 scratched into the side, which leads me to believe this was a rental at a field at some point. So, pretty interesting marker. It's a very comfortable marker, and these were a premier tournament marker in their day. 1989, Nelson pumps were very, very popular. And this one's really, really well made. It's solid. It's got a good stroke to it, and pretty rugged, well-made marker. So I don't know how many of these were made, but it was substantial. A few years later, they came out with the AirPower Vector, which was a really interesting pneumatic, basically an autococker with a pneumatic trigger. I don't know the specifics of the Vector. We saw a few of them, and they were pretty impressive guns for their day. Anyway, AirPower kind of faded out after that. We didn't really hear much from them. And if anybody has information on AirPower or their products, please leave it in the comments or message me. I'd love to learn more. I do have some other AirPower guns. So let's pull the camera up, and I'll take it apart, and we'll go through what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so first and obviously this is a Nelson-based marker. And like many of the guns of its day, it uses a power tube and a hammer and a bolt. And I think these are bore drop. They might be breeched up. I need to touch up on that. But one of the interesting things is it actually used a oversized Delron foregrip, and it has an auto trigger. And auto triggers in this day were fairly common, but also they weren't available on everything. So we have a single pump arm. Let's take this apart. And it does not have quick strip screws. And I did see guys add quick strip screws to these later to make it easier to field strip them on the field. So Delron pump comes off. It's got a steel arm that's extremely heavy. And then you have the body. Now there should be two little retaining screws right here, and they have stripped out. And like I said, this gun is extremely old, and it looks like it's had some heavy use. So let's down here. They're very simple. I really like Nelson-based guns because there's not a lot to them, and it's pretty hard to mess them up. And even if you do, you can put them back together. This one might need some love. I might have to find some accessories and rebuild it. I will do a shooting video eventually of this, but I don't know when. Alright, so let's take that out. And I've never taken this one apart, so I don't really know what condition it's in. So we've got another screw there. And then the frame comes off, and it's a very basic lever style trigger. It's got a sear with a ball, and it is extremely filthy. It has probably been in there for years. Okay. So the trigger, very, very simple. It is it looks like it is cast and then probably finish machined. And then they use the typical M16 grip, which was very popular in the day. And then we take the ASA out, okay, which is also steel. So surprisingly, most of these were machined in aluminum. But the AirPower one, this is actual steel. This is not, it is not lightweight. And I don't have any channel locks here. This may have an Apex Elite ASA because I see a threaded screw in the back, which means it's adjustable. So I don't have any channel locks, but see if I can get that off my fingers. So we have, all right, so this has, that is really interesting. This has an Apex Elite adjustable. This may be an Elite. This might not actually be an Apex. This may be an Elite. So this has an adjustable ASA. So this is most likely an Apex Elite. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. We've got the standard Nelson hammer. Steel. Pretty heavy. And it looks like it's in good shape. Nelson spring. And then we have a bolt. And there is the bolt. And it has been in there a while. Now, cool thing, that bolt is a Venturi bolt, which you don't see in a lot of Nelsons, especially of this time period. It does not look like it's adjustable. It's not. It just has the guide tube in the back. So it is steel. It is extremely heavy. This O-ring has been on here forever, so we're just going to leave it on there for now. All right, so pretty basic. Where did that ring come from? That's not good. Oh, that's a spacer. Okay, that goes in between the body and the bolt. I get it. All right, so let's look at this here. So we have, if you look at this, they're not especially complex. You have, there is your field stripped Apex Elite. I thought this was an Apex, but after looking at the adjustable ASA, which is this little lug here, which compresses the spring, this is an Apex Elite. This is not an Apex. So they're very hard to tell the difference between. I had to ask Daniel Backey and Dale Price because they were more familiar with these than I was. All right, so let's put it back together, and we'll. Oh, I forgot to put the body out here. There's the body. So there's your field strip. So let's put it back together, and we'll talk about it a little more. Pretty simple. You're going to put the bolt in, put the spring in. And you know what I already forgot? This is how long it's been since I've dealt with a Nelson. The Nelsons with these bolts, you actually have to line the bolt up with that pump arm. Otherwise, you will never, ever get it lined up. Alright, so there's a spacer that goes right there.
Spacer, bolt goes over the top. Bolt goes over the top. And then
that in there. So then we'll put that spring back in the body. You want to make sure it lines on that guide rod. And then you've got the hammer. And that was almost backwards. I need to put some oil in this. This is probably going to be pretty rough to get back to actual service. But we'll try. We'll try and see if we can get a decent video out of it.
so after that, I'm going to put these.
right, so sorry about that. I actually thought this was a Apex. It's actually an Apex Elite, which is very interesting. That said, they're very hard to tell apart. Really, the only difference is the adjustable ASA. And when it turned out, when I opened it up, either this had been upgraded to an Apex Elite, or it was already an Apex Elite that somebody had mismarked. And I really don't know. So if anybody has more of a history on the Apex and the Apex Elite and has some information I don't have, please let me know. Other than that, I'll be making more videos with rare and older paintball guns. I try to put out one a week. If you like what we've done, please feel free to subscribe. If you have advice, questions, comments, put them in the comments below. Other than that, give us a like, and we will give us a like or subscribe. Give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.